The turkeys were black across the crest, across the legs. And these turkeys were supposed to be put on a trolley, taken out and carved at the table. The chef went crazy. He chased me around the kitchen. I locked myself in the cool room. I did not want to come out. He had to go up to corporate and talk to them about what had happened. So as soon as the boys come, Brad, he's gone to corporate. I'm going home. Out the door. Disappeared. Because in China, there's no capping on how many people can be in. Oh, yes, there's 100 in a class. But you try marking 100 assessments all in Chinglish. It wasn't on computer back then. Okay. It was all handwritten. So I had to sit there and mark all the assessments in Chinglish. I remember walking into my apartment one day and there was just paper all across the lounge room floor. There was one situation I was looking at going into a restaurant, and I sat outside the restaurant for probably 4 or 5 days just taking notes to see who came, who went, how many staff were on, who was around, all sorts of things. We were really lucky back then that we could go out to a customer and confront.
Yes.
The customer wasn't always right, but you'd like to say, well, why? You know, what's the bad review? What is it
what
that
went
you don't
wrong?
want? You know, well, let me fix it. If you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know and fix it?
Yep.
Why would I take your money if I'm not going to give you the right information? Why would I take your money and train you in nothing? I take your money and train you in everything I possibly can so that you can succeed, because that's our job. Our job is
to prepare you for the outside world.
And if we haven't done that, we haven't done our job.
Yeah.
And what you just said, the outside world, hospitality taught me about the outside world, not just about being in this industry. It taught me how to deal with issues. It taught me how to improvise. If I didn't have stuff in the kitchen, what could I do with what was in the pantry? If I hadn't made money this week, what did I need to do? I grew up that way.
Yeah. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel and another episode of Passion to Profession, Chef's Edition. Today, I am so excited and honored to have the CEO and the founder of Culinaire Hospitality Institute, Chef Brad Bennett himself. Chef, I've been so excited and looking forward to have you over here. Finally, the day has arrived. I'm just gonna be looking forward to hearing from you your incredible journey over the past 4 decades, how it all started, how it's going right now, and everything in between.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Chef Brad.
Thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic. Chef, what was the initial thing that came to you, or how did you realize, or when did you realize, oh, cooking is something that I'm passionate about, I want to make something out of it?
Wow. Good question.
Yeah.
I like many chefs, I think I started my career out of a necessity. As a young boy at 16, I needed money.
Yeah.
So I started my first job in Adelaide at a place called the Bohemian Bistro. And I got a job as a kitchen hand there because I'd left school. And the thing was, you leave school, you have to have a job.
Yeah.
And so I got that job. And washing dishes, I loved it. I absolutely had the best time. But the thing that I loved more than anything was the actually environment that I was in. And it was like cooking kind of found me in that process. I used to watch the chefs, watch everything that was going on. It was just fantastic from that point of view. And there was a lot of what we call shenanigans back then. It was a different world, but I loved every minute of it. I would question the chefs at the end of a shift of why that was done or how that was done. And because there was no legal requirements back in the day for alcohol, leftover alcohol was given to the chefs.
Okay.
So at the end of shift, they would sit down and introduce me to wine and food. And then they'd go through that whole process. So that's where it started, and it went from there. So it was something that, like I say, it found me. I loved every minute of it. I started exploring more and more at home because I, lived firstly with a few other guys. So it became the whole process of going home and cooking pastas and doing all sorts of things, but coming home and find the pasta on the roof, not in the pot, So it was quickly move out of that place and find something else. And so it became more and more of an adventure for me at home to start cooking for myself. It was just something that I fell into, and it just kept going. It didn't stop.
Wow, that is interesting, man. To start from kitchen hand, it's so difficult nowadays. Like, we don't often see people starting from scratch or from the ground up. Like, we were just literally discussing this to start from ground up like few minutes ago.
Well, it's passion.
Yeah.
It's either in you or isn't. And I went from there into Myer Emporium, which was the Myers shopping centre in Adelaide. And they had several cafes, and my mother worked there. So my mother got me in there into the kitchens. It was probably the worst job I ever had. I think I destroyed more things than I should have. It was, again, I was 16, 17. So starting work at 4 o'clock in the morning was really a challenge. And at that stage too, I hadn't been offered an apprenticeship at that stage, but it did come. Wasn't something that I really wanted to stay on, was an apprenticeship, but I loved the people. I loved where I was in. I think I got chased around the kitchen by the chef with a huge carving knife, and I locked myself in the cool room because at one stage I had a Polish chef, and so the language was really difficult to understand. So he'd asked me to do something. And as a young boy, I was quite nervous. I didn't know what, I couldn't understand a word he said, and I'm not sure. And I got in the morning, I thought, 4 o'clock in the morning, what am I supposed to do? Turn the ovens on, turn the burners on, turn up the stock pots, and no idea. I turned everything up. What I didn't realize that it was Christmas. There were 24 turkeys cooking in the oven. We didn't have combi ovens and things like that back then. We were just ovens.
Yes.
So I turned all the ovens up. So later, I was literally having the younger chefs shout, Brad, what have you done? What have you done? What do you mean, what have I done? Can't you smell it? I said, what? It's cooking. No, it's burnt. So what had happened was the turkeys were black across the crest, across the legs. And these turkeys were supposed to be put on a trolley, taken out and carved at the table. The chef went crazy. He chased me around the kitchen. I locked myself in the cool room. I did not want to come out. He had to go up to corporate and talk to them about what had happened. So as soon as the boys come, Brad, he's gone to corporate. I'm going home. Out the door, disappeared. So that's when the journey really started, and I sort of understood what was responsibilities of being in the kitchen, and especially a large one like that. So it flowed on from there, and it just progressed. So at a stage where I'd probably learnt everything I could in Adelaide, I moved to Melbourne because that was the big city type scenario. Either Melbourne or Sydney. The easiest thing for me was to travel straight off to Melbourne. So I hit Melbourne, and of course the easiest job to get was working in the pancake parlours, and at that stage they were just moving into like bacon and eggs with pancakes and steak and pancakes and things like that. So they were quite simple little things to cook, but by the time I got there I was 18 or so, a little bit of experience under my belt working around the place, and Melbourne was a whole new world for me. And that's where it all really started. So this is something that I've never told anybody, so you've got me on the spot. My early years, I was an entertainer. But in order to stay financially sustainable, I had to work.
Yeah.
And the only jobs, of course, were, front of house, back of house, or whatever. That journey taught me so much. And there were so many people that I needed to thank for that journey, because I wanted to encompass everything that I could about working as a service provider or waiter back in the day and working as a cook. So I worked on the line and I worked front of house. I then got to the stage where I was working for a chef company, like Chefs on the Run, or if you needed a chef or a cook, ring them up. They call me, I turn up. So if I wasn't working somewhere else, I could jump in and do that. So Melbourne really built for me what I would classify myself as a restaurateur. I wanted to know everything. So I was very fortunate to work as many places as I possibly could through Melbourne, learn as much as I could. My first opportunity to become a general manager came purely by coincidence. And that was, I was at the opening of a restaurant I had a table of 10 that were all my staff working in another place. This place was called Cafe Venice. It was on Toorak Road in Melbourne. We were all sitting there watching how badly this opening was going, and we all knew that something had to be done. So I was fortunate enough to have people to fit into just about every position. So as soon as I felt the hand on my shoulder, I knew the owners. And Craig was saying to me, Brad, what can you do? Don't worry, I've got a whole team here, in you go. And that was, I think, one of the most wonderful things, is knowing that people will work for you and work with you. Right? So that's one of the things that I really built whilst I was in Melbourne, is teams of people, respecting them and they respect you. And if you need something done, they'll do it. So we got up, boom, boom, in you go, took over, basically walked around to the staff in the day, no HR, bye-bye, you can go home, bye-bye, you can go home. They didn't want to be there. So they weren't assisting the new owners at all. And this was an opening night. You've got Channel 9, you've got models, you've got all sorts of people. Boom, saved the night. Got called up into the office, sat down and said, right, how much? I thought, oh, come on, guys, give me a break. I was getting quite a lot of offers back in the day. And I think it had to do with not only skills and ability, but personality. People loved working, and how you lead people, how you manage people back in the day too was totally different. And I had that rapport with staff that I could get people to work for me in an instant, or pick up the phone and call someone and they'd be there. So it went from there. And then at the age of probably, I think I was, that time around late 20s, coming into my 30s, there's your first restaurant. Wow. And it went on and on and on from there. So from there were other restaurants in Melbourne. So I was very fortunate to work till about, I'd say, or have involvement in restaurants in Melbourne till about 2000. And then 2000, I needed to take a sabbatical. Okay. When you've been in an industry for so long, sometimes it just weighs you down. Mm-hmm. So it just gets a lot of pressure. Yeah. So I said to myself, I need a holiday. So I shot off to London. I thought, this is going to be great. I'm just going to have a break. I'm going to have a rest. No restaurants, no nothing, all good. I arrived in London. About 2 weeks, 3 weeks I was in London. I ran into a mate of mine on the street.
What are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? Yeah. And Mick's there going, Brad, let's open a restaurant. I'm going, oh, no. I've got the ideal place and everything like this. So we did. And oddly enough, we opened up the Spy Lounge in Brompton Road in London, and we built that. The only thing is it never go into business with a husband and wife. I'm not married at that stage, and I don't want to get into issues. And it's like, dude, she's got to chill. Yeah. This is the industry that we work in. It's hospitality, and people are friendly. That's just how life goes. So shortly there, place was set up, all running. I'd met a friend of mine who'd taken me over to Monte Carlo, and she'd introduced me to a few places around the place, and went to Monte Carlo. Oddly enough, secured a job at the Monte Carlo Beach Hotel, right, as a private chef for a Russian family. So I was there for the season, and it was absolutely amazing. Brad, we are going somewhere. Oh, no problem. Where are we going? We take the yacht. We take the yacht. You come with us. You're cooking. Yeah, no problem. So it was, for me, it was just a wonderful experience. So that sort of period took me up to like 35 or so. Mm-hmm. And then when that was coming to an end, I then got asked if I wanted to go to China. I'd never been to China before. I had my Bachelor of Hospitality Management, etc. I did have a TAE or TAA, Training and Assessment qualification. I trained the trainer back then, I think it was called. I got a job teaching hospitality and Western cookery in Chengdu. In China. Yeah. So the culture shock was quite amazing.
That would have been a total change in culture, language barrier.
Oh, language was just, forget it.
How did you cope up with that?
Look, you've got to be an entrepreneur. in order to survive in that environment. The first thing I learned, China's a cash culture. I'm not here to change their politics. I'm here to teach. That's all I am. So I learned that things had to be done with cash.
Okay.
Right? So I'd negotiated my contract, and I'd negotiated 2 contracts. And one contract was the teaching, and the other contract was on a sales and marketing sort of position for Argyle Consultancy. And that was to go around to all the hotels that were gearing up for 2008. And 2008 was the Olympics. So I worked for that company. I would teach from 7 until 12 and then have lunch, get my driver to drive me downtown into China, who did all the speaking for me. But during that process, I enlisted one of my students as my interpreter.
Okay.
So Wayne Fuhao, right, came with me, got paid, had a fantastic time traveling around to all the hotels. And it's interesting now because Fuhao is now the CEO of 4 of the largest government hotels in Nanjing. Right? So you see the progression.
Yes.
It's about hopefully mentoring, and it's about showing your passion to somebody else that ignites a fire. And that fire burns and they feel the same, and then they follow or pursue their dream and goal. So there was so much of that. Finished in China around 2005, came back to Australia, started lecturing in schools here in
So
Australia.
you liked what you did in
I
China.
loved it. Loved it. I thought, well, this is it. Don't really have to get into the cooking side of things, but, could go and teach and know that if somebody wanted someone to step in to do the cooking in a class, I could do that as well as teach the theory. So everything was, but what had happened was those schools that had me basically went, you're not a teacher. You need to be managing or running the school. Okay, fine, up to you. So it was just, everything was just a natural progression. It's kind of like doors just opened. Things fell into place.
You grew with the flow.
So quickly, it was amazing. So reaching great heights in those areas was quite amazing for me too. But you've got to love it. And I think I got the love for it when I was in China. Because in China, there's no capping on how many people can be in. Oh, yes, there is. There's 100 in a class. So you try marking 100 assessments all in Chinglish. It wasn't on computer back then.
Chinglish, okay.
It was all handwritten. So I had to sit there and mark all the assessments in Chinglish. I remember walking into my apartment one day and there was just paper all across the lounge room floor. They were all my assessments. I'd sit there, tick, tick, tick. So such I think a natural flow. It just progressed and I just kept going from one thing to the other. And every door just opened. And God bless, I was fortunate to be able to work within those fields very easily. And it just fit to who I was and to what we were doing. And that nature of mentoring, I just fell into place. Students, relating to students was wonderful. They were all international too. But having taught in China really opened up my eyes to teaching international students in Australia. Understanding the language barriers, knowing, like I'll do now, is to stop, breathe, slow down the speech, talk to the student and identify words that they didn't comprehend. We all think as teachers that you know what we're talking about.
Yes.
But certain words they would not comprehend and certain things don't translate. And when you have a mix of internationals in the classroom, it's not just one culture. There's so many different cultures. Getting them firstly to understand one thing. When they walk into my class, culture goes out the door. What comes through the door is respect. Doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter who you are, gender-wise, whatever, irrelevant. When you walk through the door, you respect yourself and you respect each other.
Yes.
And that
is so
in
true.
turn builds such a wonderful classroom because they feel for the first time that they feel one, not separated. So they don't have to challenge each other. We're all here for one thing, and that's learning. And I used to say to them too, If your English is better than another student's, help them. You're in that class for a year and a half. Become friends. If we learn, or if we undertake respect for each other, we learn to understand instead of not understanding.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, correct. And learn. Why do you do this? What is that as part of your culture? So that became such I think, a strong element of the class, that I had other kids wanting to come to my class. Right? So it was great. The schools loved it. You know,
I'm sure that would have been a big thing, to be honest.
Classes were full.
Students wanting to attend your classes.
True.
I mean, that's a very big
Yeah,
thing.
and that is an interesting thing, is making sure engagement. And this was a big thing with the organizations like ASQA and things like that. How do you engage your students? You know, storytelling, a lot of them, got a lot of them, but they're real life scenarios,
Yes.
you know. And so when the students would come across an issue in their assessments or something like that, easy, I've done that.
Yes.
That's happened to me. How did I handle that? Like this. Yeah. So these are good things to happen in a classroom.
It's just amazing. You've taken us starting from Adelaide, moving to big international cities, and now we're back to Australia.
That's it.
So you've experienced so many various cultures,
Unbelievable.
traditions, people, language barriers, as you mentioned.
Correct.
There's so many taste profiles change as well, preferences change as well.
Correct.
How did you cope up with all of that? Or should I put it this way? Which one did you like the most? Which city?
Wow, good question. There was so much to undertake, because as a lecturer later, I could see from their point of view, you've just landed in a new country. You don't know how to catch a bus, the money, how to speak to people, culture differences. Wow, even laws and regulations. That was the same for me in traveling around the world. Understanding all of that helped me when teaching, because I'd been there. And this, no disrespect to some of the trainers now, they haven't had that journey. So you've got to stop and say, what if that was me? Where would I be? So yes, language in China, whoa, very difficult, very difficult. You know, 见到你很高兴, you know, okay. You know, so nice to meet you, etc. Things like that. 你好,你好. You know, little things. Firstly, I learned that any amount of language, even the smallest amount of language, showed respect. So I got respect. I got respect as a way as a foreigner to turn around and give back the fact that I'm trying and I'm respecting your culture. The doors opened. The doors opened like crazy. It was unbelievable. So for me, even now when I travel, I try to get some basic language when I arrive. If I can say thank you, if I can ask a question, it shows respect. You know, so if I'm traveling, namaste. It's easy. It's just respect that shows courtesy to the culture.
And I think it automatically opens the opposite person up as well.
Yeah,
like
correct.
I automatically start feeling comfortable, although I know, okay, you're not part of my land or my country, but you're putting an effort to not just fit in, but also respect my traditions, respect my culture, and
I want to know.
Yes, showing that
Teach
curiosity.
me.
Yeah,
So
I'm open to knowing. I'm open to learning.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I'm basically asking you, teach me.
Without actually asking.
Yeah. You know, I'm open to listen.
Yes.
I'm open to engage, and I'm open to learn. And I'm feeling so lucky to have had the opportunity to travel to so many different countries to do that. And food. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you know, from someone, you know, who's just a line cook and things like that, to be taken into kitchens and shown cooking styles and different things throughout the world was unbelievable.
Yes.
I was so fortunate.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and especially, sorry to bring you back to, you know, a few other things. There's so many things that we are discussing, and like, oh, I should ask this, I should ask that, you know. But like when you ran your own business or your own restaurants back in Melbourne, then, you know, worked in Adelaide in a few restaurants, then in London as well, then as a private chef in Monaco as well. So you've had like a good, successful career, but I'm sure it would have come with its own ups and downs, with its own set of challenges.
A lot of
What would be like your biggest learning, if I would put
Oh,
it in a way to
Look,
keep it brief?
I think that the opportunity to work with so many different chefs, and especially coming through 70s and 80s, chefs back then were difficult. They really were. You had the so-called Gordon Ramsay attitude. There was a lot of swearing, a lot of yelling, and you had to learn, live with it. The thing with that was that if a chef's yelling at you, they're paying attention to you. I always believe that. If they're not yelling at you, they're not interested. They'll just tell you to get lost. Get out of my, do a Gordon Ramsay. Get out of my kitchen, right? So if they're yelling at you, they're paying attention to you. You've done something that's pissed them off, yeah, but they're watching you. So, okay, water off a duck's back. The good thing about being in that type of environment too is learn from that chef. Learn not to do that. Learn how to talk to your staff. So yeah, there were a lot of challenges going in as a line cook under pressure. What you'd have to do is have the recipe in front of you, cook that recipe, do not change it. Do not change that. You change that recipe, that chef's going to cut you without a question, right? And you won't be there tomorrow. So you learn to adapt and you learn how that kitchen runs. And because I could work as a cook in many little places, as well as front of house, I learned so much. And so in now being able to teach both the theory components and the practical components within my school, anybody's sick, I can step in. And I remember there was one situation I was looking at going into a restaurant, and I sat outside the restaurant for probably 4 or 5 days, just taking notes to see who came, who went, how many staff were on,
No way.
who was around, all sorts of things. So I went in on a Friday night, and I'd been watching the manageress, and I said to Lily, I know you're short-staffed. I'm looking for a job. Wasn't, but I'm looking for a job, but you know, I can start tonight. You don't have enough staff. And she's like, oh, okay, a little cocky, but you know, and that's table 1, that's table 2, that's table 3, that's that. You've got these wines on. How do you know? Oh, I've studied everything. I'm ready to go. Again, Lily, Italian girl, very cocky. You're very cocky. I said, got to be. So I actually said to her, look, what I'll do is I'll take this front section. What I make, you can split that and give that in tips to the staff. Seriously? Yep. Oh, you're on. But what I'd done is I'd been in there on Thursday night when a staff member left the bar where the reservation book was. So I've opened the reservation book, gone through the Friday night reservations and picked my tables. So I've seen who was coming in and what was happening. So I had big table, 12 people, 21st. Another table, 8, celebration. Little tables 2, little tables 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I knew who I was serving. I knew the customer I was going for. And the thing you learn as a service staff, to identify a client. And this is either fashion or jewelry. And if you're clever, you can identify a watch.
Yes.
You can identify a pair of shoes, and you know money. This is clever business. All right. So I did. So I did a lot of selling on that night. It really, really worked. And at one stage, I was sitting down talking to the gentleman who had the 21st. And Lily came down and said, excuse me, are you working or have you finished? I said, I'm finished. And they're having a chat. And the chef came out and basically said, he's not a waiter. He knows too much. Because at one stage I went in, and on the menu, this is the thing, it goes with a raspberry dew. There was no raspberry dew on the plate. So I go back to the chef, where's the raspberry dew? What the? How do you know? It's on the menu.
Yes.
So there was a lot of little things like that. But what that did was, when I did go into that restaurant, showed the staff I knew what I was doing.
The confidence.
Everything. I can do
Having
your
that
job.
shrewd attitude.
And that's what I wanted throughout my life, was to be able to say, you want to walk out the door? There's the door to happiness. Bye-bye. I'll go and wash dishes. Or I'll jump on the line, you jump up there, and away we go. So if I took over and owned a business, I wanted to know that I was capable of doing everything from ordering, finance, understanding HR, understanding wages, all of that. And that's what makes a restaurateur. So I classify myself more as a restaurateur than I do as a chef or a cook, right? And now an owner of a college. It's the same way.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to do everything.
And I know you instill your principles and you live by them, because I remember a few years ago when I met you, you were still doing the dishes yourself. I remember that very clearly. I'm like, I'm here to meet the CEO. Who is it? And one of the friendly staff members over there, like, oh, there. And like, the guy, the man who's doing the dishes, like, yeah. Like, okay, wow. And like a man with such a stature, with more than 4 decades of experience, still being able to do the basics and sticking to that, that's hats off.
And that's, again, too, that's a thing that I show my students. We all clean.
Leading from the front.
We all clean. And in this industry, especially in kitchens, we clean before we start, we clean during, and we clean when we finish. It doesn't stop. And that, again, for me, is the same at the college. You know, we have a washroom, there's 2 classes running, they bring dishes out, they're still cooking. Okay, I can wash. If you're piled up or stacked up, I can come down and do the dishes, right? Get you on track, get you back, move you quickly, right? Don't forget you've got to clean up at the end.
Yes.
Right? But they see the boss, they see the CEO washing dishes, and they go, he's the boss. And I'm hoping that installs in them, if they take on that role, that they can do the same thing.
So these are some very unique characteristics and traits in you that you've instilled in your institute, and hopefully in all the aspiring chefs and the students that, you know, come to your institute. So is this one of the approaches you think it will elevate the students or the current aspiring chefs to the next level? Because do you think that this is a dying trait? All of this, you know, washing the dishes yourself, being able to help your teammates, you know, doing all these things. Is this like a dying trait?
The thing that you highlight there is teammates. This is the one thing that we really install at the college, is that you're going to be with whoever's next to you for probably 2.5 years, that you are a brigade. And that's what normally is in a kitchen. You'll find that some of the really large kitchens have 20 in a kitchen. That's a full brigade. There's a lot of people. You won't always get on, but you must work together. So no matter what issue, no matter what problem, you pull together as a team, you get through it, you discuss it later. It's the same thing. You talk about a dying art. And cooking is an art, but it comes with passion and it comes with heart. I say to the students, if cooking isn't in your heart, there's no heart in the cooking. It's just food. And this is what I'm seeing a lot lately, is just bland food on a plate in a restaurant, because people have given up. They've lost the desire and the burn and the passion.
There's no connection anymore.
No, there's no connection with the produce. There's no connection with the food. Oh yeah, it looks pretty. It doesn't taste very nice. Hopefully, we can translate that into love what you're doing and be awesome doing it. Really put yourself out there and put you on the plate. Put your heart and soul in what you do, and you'll never stop doing it. And you will rise to higher ground wherever you choose to go. It's the mentoring from the chefs, and it's not having teachers, it's having chefs. I have chosen my chefs carefully to teach, because I feel that the teachers have lost the passion, because it doesn't burn anymore. They've got a job, they teach, not a problem. This is the training package, this is how I teach it, good luck, bye-bye. But it's not about that. It's about showing you what I did. And the journey for any chef has always been a difficult one, always will be. Long hours, tiring, difficult people to work with. But you know what? I had and have had the best time of my life. I have worked for some phenomenal people throughout my career. And during my break time, I was working as a bodyguard. Very interesting, but read the book. So in that sense, I got a job working for Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
I got the job working for Michael Jackson because I had hospitality background,
Okay.
but I also had security training, firearms training, martial arts training. I had done that throughout my life.
Fancy.
So I got this job working for Michael Jackson on the History Tour 96. Right?
As one
Because
of the
I
biggest
was a
tours.
good communicator,
Yep.
and I could cook popcorn with honey. And popcorn with honey is his favorite dish.
Oh, all right.
So there were a lot of people that we worked for, a lot of parties, a lot of openings, and when you've got, good catch.
Look at those reflexes, your
See-
martial arts, your security
there you go.
training,
See, that's it.
everything is coming into the picture today.
And that we were going to use as garnish. So yeah. So this is the thing. Is that throughout my life, and as I said, I've written probably 360 pages of a book that isn't finished because it's still going, and that all comes up in it. And I'm so blessed to have had those opportunities that other people didn't, because all of this now fits into where I am now in the college, as a business owner, as a CEO and founder of Le Culinaire. And the journey that we've undertaken was not easy. So having the strength to endure hardship and difficulties has put me to here. And you wouldn't want to change it. You wouldn't want to do anything differently. So you just go, thank you to the universe for what they've given you. Because I'm a firm believer that the universe will not give you something unless you're ready for it.
Absolutely.
And what the universe will also do is train you for it. They'll put you into situations to see how you deal with it.
Yep.
Right? Because they'll reflect later on in life. And you go, I remember that. I did this and that was wrong. So let's do it this way.
Even I think something similar on similar lines. I personally think of it as a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
So it's like the life is taking you back like an arrow
And
for a reason.
Yeah.
Because the further back you go, you might think, oh, I'm just going back. I'm not moving forward. So not moving.
Then
When it
lets you
releases
go.
you, it's going to catapult you to
Correct.
totally different light
Correct.
years ahead. And you
Yeah.
wouldn't have
and
ever
you're taking
imagined.
all of that information with you and going, I can do it better. I can understand now. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So again, as I say, I'm very, very lucky to have had the journey that I've had
Yes.
at the age of 66. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of fabulous, fun journeys through the place. Yes, a lot of, issues and problems that we've
Yes.
had, learning how to deal with conflict, resolution,
Yes.
especially customers.
Oh,
And the changing in customers over the years and where we are today, it's quite disappointing what I see out there today. I just don't know how it's come to this,
Yep.
but I think there's so many influencers today that can't influence.
yes.
They have no experience in influencing. There's so many people that have an opinion
Oh, in
That
today's
have-
world, everyone has an opinion, especially
that have never
Because-
done it.
social media.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, a chef works hard to put the food on the plate. Yeah, we can make mistakes sometimes.
We are all humans at the end of the day.
But today, social media suicide is unbelievable. And it really is. It'll kill you straight away. A mobile phone and a post and
Yep.
something, and that's it, you're gone. We were really lucky back then that we could go out to a customer and confront.
yes.
The customer wasn't always right, but you'd like to say, why? What's the bad review? What is it
What
that you
went
don't
wrong?
want? Well, let me fix it. If you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know and fix it?
Yep.
Right? So, but now it's just blatant remarks and you
Yes.
just go, oh, strange world. And it is
Yeah.
difficult. We also have to try to integrate that into our learning now with chefs coming into the industry, that you are under scrutiny because of, I hate to say it, all the cooking shows
Yeah.
and they're television. They're not real. There's so much
It's all
that goes on
scripted.
behind the scenes that nobody sees. I'm hoping the positive side of that, it does inspire younger
A lot
people to come into the industry. But when they do, and I've seen it firsthand, they shit themselves.
Mm.
They walk in the door and go, oh, no, really? Yeah, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to, no, I can't do that. Right? So it's really quite frightening. And that's where, cookery schools are vital
Yes.
because it does take them through the difficulties of being in a kitchen.
The journey.
The whole journey. So if they can survive a culinary school, they can go into a kitchen.
So pretty much, if I put it in a nutshell or in one sentence, it is your life experiences back in those days, in a concise format, and here you go, experience it.
Correct.
Get a taste of it over here before you get a taste of it in real world, but
True.
it's still a real world experience.
Correct.
But in a controlled environment, so I can
Correct.
still get bashed up. I can still make
good,
a lot
good,
of
good.
mistakes,
Mistakes.
learn from it, like make mistakes, learn
We
from it.
encourage making mistakes. Make mistakes at school and not in your restaurant. Learn from that.
Yes.
But you're still going to make mistakes in the restaurant. However, cooking, you're going to burn something. Being in class is where you'll learn how to do that. You'll also learn how to rebuild something.
Yes.
Nothing's ever thrown out, wasted. We redesign.
How do I reuse it?
Yeah. So if I've done something wrong with the sauce, if it's split, if it's done this, how do I bring it back to life? So these are the most important things.
Yes.
Learning.
Yeah, so it's also, again, then you can think about, it's sustainability. That's another angle that I can
Correct.
think of,
Correct.
rather than just letting it
Nothing
go to
gets
waste.
thrown away. Nothing gets thrown away. Chef Adam Moore was in the college doing a industry evaluation, and the student was cutting something up, and Adam turned around and said to him, "What are you going to do with that?" And he goes, "Oh, stock pot. Good boy." His little heart was going, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it goes in the stock pot. And this is what we learn from the very basics at the college is stock soups and sauces. And another thing I tell the students is don't tell people what you can do. Show them. Show them. So that if you are working in a kitchen and somebody can't step up to the role and you believe you can do it, step up, take the confidence, step up to that role, complete it, show chef.
Yes.
There you go.
Ownership.
So this whole
responsibility.
journey of being in that kitchen for a year is where we're hoping that we're passing on skills and knowledge to them to be able to climb any mountain. It's your choice.
Yes.
Where you want to go is up to you.
Absolutely.
We've got a young boy who graduated, bought a food truck. Now he has Pamper Flame, fantastic business, working in the Hunter Valley, doing weddings, Brazilian barbecue, teaching you how to do it, doing master classes. I couldn't be prouder.
Wow.
I couldn't be prouder. He was acknowledged at the Tourism Training Australia Awards at the President's Dinner.
Yes.
And I was so proud that he was.
Wow. That would have been an absolutely amazing experience.
We've got another young girl, domestic student, who came through patisserie, is now a trainer. She came into patisserie with her own business, but wanted to learn more. So she had the skills. She was making wedding cakes, but wanted to learn more. She came in, she completed the course, got her Cert 4 in patisserie, now one of my chefs, now one of my trainers, you know? So it's just the natural flow. And I think, as I say, a universal thing is doors open.
Yes.
When they're ready, when there's time, that door will open. Don't push it, don't rush it, don't go too fast.
Are you a mind reader? Because I'm like, okay, let me ask him about, do you have any stories for us to share with our audience as well of one of your students if they've done? You've already given me two.
There you go. Well, there's so many. I mean, we have a young girl now working at Barara Waters, which is a two-hatted restaurant up on the North Shore. We've got so many students in really good positions. One of our students, Likey, was working for Mojitos in the city under Amanda Fuller, wonderful chef. She put him into the Golden Chef competition of where he got bronze. First international.
Wow.
First international to compete in a competition. I'm so impressed. So impressed. And I encourage my kids to go into competitions. They're too scared. They're too scared. But, hopefully next year I'm got a few little things in mind.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
There's always something.
A couple of good things on the horizon. Some collaborations. So the World Association of Master Chefs, who I am an executive Master Chef member and an international judge and a professional chef badge, we're partnering with them, and we will be we are taken on as their global training association for internationals.
Wow.
So international chefs can get upskilled
Yes.
under our
That'll be
Culinaire banner.
fantastic.
So there's a lot going. But so with that, every student that graduates will get free a certificate from the World Association of Master Chefs as a professional cook.
That would be great for their resume as well, to present
internationally,
themselves.
If I finish here and go overseas, it's so well recognized.
Mhm.
So throughout the Philippines and Indonesia, a lot of our students come from, throughout sub-Asia culture area as well. This is well recognized as well as ours. So there's a lot of new things coming in. As much as we've had a lot of challenges coming to the end of 24, we're moving into, my motto for 25 is staying alive. Ha, 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 staying alive, staying alive. So we want to be staying alive in 2025. And that's the only way to look at business.
Mm.
You've got to stay alive. You've got to create new things. You've got to be inventive. So we've got a lot of different things coming on board for 2025. So Le Culinaire moves into a higher level of international training.
It elevates the level,
Everything.
even the skills get elevated because of that. People actually start getting even more interested. Oh, okay.
More and more workshops. So we're going to be holding more master classes next year with our students from internationally. So whether we Zoom it, or film it, things like that. So that's going to happen. We're going to be running more master classes in our kitchens because next year we are moving to a new location.
Wow.
And it's going to be bigger for the students. So we can run better master classes in
So
that
will we still have the Surrey Hills location?
No, going to move on.
All right.
Things are changing. Got to move forward.
Wow.
So it's been
That
a year.
is lovely.
2024 is time to close the door. 2025, we're staying alive and we're moving forward. As I say, love what you do, be awesome doing it. So I've got to keep the awesome because, as I say again, we don't train our students to be average. We inspire them to be awesome. So the only way I can inspire my students to be awesome is if I lead by example. Right? So, and again, at 66, I don't stop learning. I'm currently also undertaking a Master Chef study exam.
Okay.
It's now taking me probably almost a year to complete. So I'm waiting for that one. Go through that. That's quite challenging.
Once a student, always a student.
You've got to say that. But again, like I say, all the awards that you've seen at my college, they're there to inspire the kids. They're there to show you don't stop and that you can achieve it if you want it. But you've got to have a mindset. You've got to have a passion. But to build that passion, I'm hoping my chefs and my hospitality trainers inspire that within the students, that they push them. You can do it. You can succeed. And it is challenging for internationals because, everybody's about, you're taking jobs off domestic students. No, you're not. You're fulfilling roles that people don't want to do. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Right? So go out there and do it.
It's only based on merit. It's not based that, they
This
bought
is
their
where-
way through it.
When I started the college, it was a whole idea of to change the perception of chefs in the kitchen, that international students could cook, because previously they couldn't. We know that there were issues. So I opened up Le Culinaire to build a college that taught cookery and hospitality management. I've got kids at Four Seasons, front of house, that has got to shadow what the college is.
It's got to have a weightage.
It's all about skills and knowledge, correct skills and knowledge. Why would I take your money if I'm not going to give you the right information? Why would I take your money and train you in nothing? I take your money and train you in everything I possibly can so that you can succeed, because that's our job. Our job is
to prepare you for the outside world.
And if we haven't done that, we haven't done our job. And what you just said, the outside world, hospitality taught me about the outside world, not just about being in this industry. It taught me how to deal with issues. It taught me how to improvise. If I didn't have stuff in the kitchen, what could I do with what was in the pantry? If I hadn't made money this week, what did I need to do? I grew up that way.
Yeah.
I grew up because hospitality, being in a kitchen, conflict resolution, how to deal with problems, how to resource, how to outsource, how to find things. So it really built me.
And even opened your perspective. You can
Oh,
start thinking in
options.
different directions,
Yeah.
different options,
Don't-
what to
don't-
do,
don't give
what
up.
not to do. Yeah.
Okay, I burnt the butter. Don't give up. What can I do? Change it.
Yeah.
Fix it.
Keep moving
Keep
on.
moving
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't let it overwhelm you.
Yeah.
And that's what life has a tendency to do. And when you're looking at international students, they have so many challenges every day and they have to get over it. But God bless, because these students, they work so hard. And when they do go into a job, the chefs come back and go, Brad, they work. They work.
And
Mhm.
that feedback is the
That-
best feedback one could get
You've done your job.
Yes.
My chefs have done their job. My trainers have done their job. And I've achieved a goal. If I can see one student succeed out of one class, I'm happy because it got through everything. So,
Yeah.
I go back to teaching in China and having my young boy Fu Hao with me. I was in China later after leaving the college. I went to China. I was in Shenzhen. And I was at the Crown Plaza in Shenzhen with my wife, who's Chinese. And walking through the foyer, and I can hear, teacher, teacher, teacher. My wife's hitting me. That boy taught you, that boy called you what? Fu Hao, Fu Hao, Fu Hao. Front office, assistant front office manager in Crown Plaza, being paid in American dollars, not Chinese, in a high position. That I think I said before, he now has 4 of the top government hotels in Nanjing as a CEO.
Wow.
And that's when you look at your career and you look at your life and you go, have I done something? Like building the college. It's not building a college, it's a legacy. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. We're all challenged with that, but I know
But the legacy lives on.
there's a legacy that will live on.
Yes.
And it will continue.
The principles, the
yeah,
values,
that's it. And
all of that will keep going on.
You've met my PEO, Julie.
Yes.
And she's my rock. She's my right hand.
Yes.
And I have my son-in-law and business partner, Landon. And, he's so strong in the area of marketing and development in stuff. So I'm so happy that I've got support underneath me, that I can be me. I don't have to get caught in the mundane day to day. I walk into my classes first thing in the morning and I walk around and say hi to the chefs, say hi to the students. I'm trying to lose the weight because every time I walk into a classroom, it's chef, try this, taste this. Okay, worst one is patisserie. I say, chef, try this cake. Well, my diabetes is going through the roof, And it is such a pleasure that they do that, that they come to you and they want you to taste it and they want you to give feedback and opinions. And, it's so nice. You walk through you walk into the kitchen and say, morning, chef. Oh, where are you? And that also installs that attitude into a kitchen. I can teach you skills and knowledge. I can't teach attitude. It's something that you develop.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that they develop that every day that they're at the college. And that is also a reflection of us.
Yes.
It's our attitude. It's my attitude to you as a chef when I walk through the door.
Yes.
Morning, chef. All right? Great. I was doing there was a function at ICC, not far from us, 5-minute walk.
Yep.
And it was the Australian Culinary Federation, and they needed assistance. I said, Brad, can you get some students in? Of course
Absolutely.
I can. A 10-minute walk on the phone. They all came across, all in uniform. They all lined up, all right? And one of the chefs
Like a
from
brigade.
another college walked over and said, how did you do that? Watch this. Morning, chef. Every one of them, all 12. And the whole place just froze. All
That's
right?
like a proper brigade, proper army.
That's it. That you got it. It's a brigade. Now, when that attitude walks into a professional kitchen, the chef goes, whoa, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Because it's about giving respect. You need to give respect in
To
order
get it.
to receive respect. Don't walk in the kitchen like you're a know-it-all and we've all seen those guys. And it's like, dude, that chef over there is going to rip you to pieces, mate. And we all sit back and watch, and he's going to get crucified. So the kids go in with what we believe is a healthy attitude.
Yes.
And I'm blessed. The thing too is that when I walk in the morning, they're in class. Every class is full. Theory,
Practicals.
They're all there. So for me, it's like where we are, as you know, is a little hotel.
Yes.
So it's like walking into back a house of a hotel. Everybody's getting a briefing. They're sitting down doing their hospitality assignments. They're all full in class. Somebody's pouring wine. Somebody's doing this. So it's great. So I'm so blessed to be in this industry. I'm so happy to be here today talking with you. And thank you very much to Knoxx Foods for the opportunity to share that. As I say, at 66, I'm still going. I think I've got...
Still got few
4 years.
decades.
If I've got 10, 70 in 4 years, I'll keep going.
Few decades, maybe.
Retirement's coming up, hopefully. But as I say, I mean, there's so much in the journey. But without that journey, it wouldn't be what I can give to the students.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute honor to have you over here, Chef. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us and our audience. Now,
Pleasure.
for one final section.
Look out.
So I've got a few rapid fire questions for you.
Quick, can I call a friend?
You've got only few of them.
Okay,
and
go.
You can definitely call a friend, but I don't think you'll need them.
Let's go.
So the first one, if you were to host a dinner party for 3 and you can pick anyone, who would they be and what would you cook?
Oh, don't. Oh my goodness.
But remember, Chef, this is rapid fire.
Oh, don't. Okay. Three. Oh, gosh. Definitely I'd bring back Michael Jackson because I enjoyed the journey. Someone else. Marco Pierre White, but gosh, cooking for him, I'd be so frightened. And third. Literature. Definitely someone who's written literature of some sort. What would I cook? Oh my goodness me. Again, simplicity is the secret to success. So I'd be doing a scallop and avocado entree. I'd then go into a chili prawn linguine, and I'd finish off with some sort of champagne sorbet, mango.
Oh, mango sorbet.
Yeah, champagne, Veuve Clicquot, champagne mango sorbet. Beautifully done. Served
You
up.
got me.
Nicely done.
My mouth is already salivating.
And it's simple. Don't go crazy. Simple.
Yes.
And again, flavoursome.
Yeah. The next one, if you were to have just one dish for the rest of your life, I hope not, what would it be?
Don't. I can't eat pasta because that'll kill me. Dish. I mean, don't. I'm sorry, but pasta. I'm terrible. Pasta. I love it. I grew up on it. I mean, that's how I got through college. It was noodles. You know, you could go and buy a pasta back in the day for 50 cents, right? And that could last you a week.
A week?
Right? Because you split it all up and away you go. So pasta.
All right. So moving on, if you weren't a chef, hypothetically.
What would I be?
Yes.
Oh, dear. You know what I always wanted to be?
What?
I wanted to be a drummer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. You know,
Wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah,
I would have thought you might have said, martial artist.
No, drummer. You know, stick me in a rock band and give me the drums. And I would love to have been a drummer on stage.
Oh, wow. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Next one now. If you were to do a cooking competition today, who would you pick as your opponent?
Oh, gosh. There's so many. As my opponent? Oh, boy. Oh, gosh. Thank Brad.
Can be anyone, even current.
I'd pull out Manu. I'd give Manu a fair shot.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Manu, but I'm coming out to the restaurant very soon, so look out. You never know. It could be in the kitchen.
So would you like to challenge him for a cook-off?
Oh, don't do that. I'm done.
So what is your favorite dish to cook at home? You're relaxing. You've got few of your best close friends or your family members at home. What would you like to cook? Like, this is your comfort food.
I suppose I'm pretty much as I said, I'm a pasta fan, but I do like fish. I'd like to do a nice big red snapper, on the table that everybody can share.
Perfect.
You know, everybody just digs in.
Yes.
You know, so it would be a seafood arrangement.
Way.
Light salads, easy stuff around the table. People can just pick and share and talk, and nice wine and chill out.
Oh yes, that sounds perfect.
That's my Christmas lunch with my wife and her sister.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely. Last of all, do you have any advice for the young aspiring chefs that can
Sure.
come from your history or your journey,
Yeah.
or you think that will help them propel in their life? Anything that you prefer.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't give up. No matter how hard the journey, don't stop. Believe in yourself and keep going. If, as I say, if it's here, if the passion burns, don't let anybody say you can't. Simple as that.
Keep going.
Just keep going.
And I think that's half the battle already won. If you just show up,
That's
just
it.
show up.
Suit up, dress up, be there.
'Cause
Just
I
keep
think
going.
not even half the battle. Most of the battle is won once you're already there.
It's so important, and that's why we went through COVID. And COVID was a very big challenge, and I'll be very quick. My students didn't stop. They came to class. They came and cooked. Why? Mental health. If you're at home sitting there just focusing on COVID and what it's doing, you're gone. Come to class. Cook, eat, go home. This stops.
Yes.
Clears the mind. Cooking is very meditative if you're in the right zone. And my wife hates that I clean because I clean and cook.
Zen mode.
Zen mode. So turn up.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chef Brad, for your time.
Pleasure.
It was absolutely lovely having you over here and having a chat with you. Time has just flown by quickly. I mean, if you're
Well, I
having
hope I haven't
fun.
bored the audience.
Well, I hope so not too. It was absolutely fun hearing the different stories, your journey from scratch when you were 16-year-old. Now you're 66. That's like 5 decades worth of
Decades of
story.
work, yeah.
I know an hour is not sufficient to put everything in of all the things that you've done, the pluses, minuses, the pros, the cons, the ups and
There's
downs.
a lot there.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of value that you have added to the young aspiring chefs out there. Even the seasoned pros. I'm sure there would have been few stories that they themselves don't know about you, and they've
There's a
picked
lot
up.
they don't know.
But yeah, absolutely lovely chatting with you. Thank you
you.
so much for your time
Pleasure
over
indeed.
here, Chef Brad. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you so much. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode of Passion to Profession with Chef Brad. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much.